Hello and welcome to the Leadership Series show. Today, our guest is Srinidhi, an apprentice who worked his way up to becoming an SVP of a top MNC. He's also a mountaineer and a vivid biker. He has a lot more onto his belt. Welcome, Srinidhi.
Thank you, Ramesh, for bringing me here onto this forum and really appreciate your efforts.
Cool. So your journey has been very inspirational, right? It has been from, obviously you moved up from joining as an apprentice and all the way to SVP, and there's a lot more to it, right? So can you briefly walk us through in terms of how you started and how did your journey happen towards SVP?
For me, it has been a roller coaster journey, starting from apprentice training till become SVP. I've gone through a lot of phases within 30 years span, which I spent my journey in IT industry. Corporate world to an entrepreneur to again corporate world. So I started my journey with escorts as a training engineer, apprentice training engineer, where I was part of the machine shop. We used to do predominantly managing and maintaining the machine systems, which is there in the machine shop. Then I came out due to some strike which happened within escorts. So that time during, like when I'm talking about late, early beginning of 1992, 1993, that is what. Then 2 months I was out of training period. Then I got into a job with BPL, where I started my journey as a junior engineer. It was a good journey for me, 3.5 years journey at BPL, where I used to manage and maintain all programmable logic controlled machines. It's completely automated machines from Japan. We used to maintain and manage them. And also we had a couple of SMD machines. We call it as surface mounting device machines, where BPL used to manufacture televisions. So we used to use those machines for manufacturing televisions. So I used to manage them and maintain them. During my course in BPL, I started learning Lotus 123, which was predominant to generate some reports, all those things. Then I started using them. Then that is where my passion towards IT has grown big. When I was in the BPL, I got details from Economic Development Board of Singapore. It has come in the newspaper. Then I applied for the job there. So I got a job there in Singapore. I used to work with Takashimaya as a network engineer. That is where my bigger journey towards IT has started. So I spent good amount of time with Singapore. So it has been like 2.5 years. Then I came back to India. Due to certain reasons, I came back to India. And I started learning Unix as a flavor. And I built a lot of interest in Unix, predominantly on Cisco Unix as well as Solaris. And I used to teach with RCS, Ranbir Computer Systems that time. During that time, I met one of colleague who came for the training. I still remember his name, Srinivas Murthy. And he's a guy, he said that, why don't you get into a corporate world? So from teaching world to corporate world, where Tata Elxsi had got an option for a system administrator managing their entire systems on Solaris systems. We got a couple of interviews there and got selected there, joined Tata Elxsi. That is when my real IT journey began again, one more time. That's what it is. Then from there, I went on to Cisco, spent like 7.5 years, solid years in managing their entire data center, starting from systems to applications, everything. It was because I was 2 times IT champion there. I had like 30 odd CAP awards. We call it as Cisco Achievement Program Awards. That is what I have received from Cisco. And it has really turned my life into a different thing from Cisco onwards.
Yeah, I know that your journey from Tata Elxsi to Cisco was interesting, and then Cisco kind of turned around, right? And that's where you kind of ventured into your entrepreneurial journey, right? So can you just talk a little bit? How did that happen? Because you just mentioned that you had this 30 caps from Cisco, right? And you were highly motivated out there. The success was great, and then you kind of pivoted from there. So how did that pivot happen?
Yeah, that's a great question, Ramesh. So when you look at Cisco, it was a technology company then. We had an opportunity to learn everything. Whatever it goes to data center, we learned everything. Whether you take a storage area network, you take systems, you take anything, right? We learned everything there. It's a great opportunity, great empowerment the company has given. Keeping that one in mind, so three of us, we thought, right, we come out and start our own organization. That is when the entrepreneurship which came into our mind. In India, that time, entrepreneurship was not grown big, like the US ones. It was predominantly very, very low, right? Then we started our journey. We started the organization 2007. As an entrepreneur, three of us, we started that organization, which is called as Yashasvi Information Solutions. And we did good amount of thing there. That was a risk which I have taken personally. When you look at that time, when I came out, for us it was looking at, since we are working with Cisco, everything was rosy for us. We should be able to start this journey with Cisco and get more business from Cisco. All those things we were thinking in mind and started this. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And put all our savings, whatever we had, at our pocket, including the PF amount, what we had into the system, to drive the journey. When we reached like 3.5 years, we almost like we did a business of 1 million or so. That's the business we did. We did good amount of orders.
And this was in a span of what, 2 years?
3.5 years.
3.5
3.5 years.
Okay.
That time, that money was big, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Right? So I came from where? I came from the person who didn't had 100 rupees to buy a bicycle. I own a super bike of 1800 cc, which is 25 lakhs.
Yeah.
So that is where journey started. Right? We put in a lot of effort there. During that time, I had taken a lot of risk in entrepreneurship. Put all the savings my wife was carrying, and we had a lot of debts. Predominantly, I had a bank loan for my house, my car, everything. A lot of loans were there. Still, I took a risk. Let us go ahead. Only thing is, one, the perseverance, dedication, effort, the flexibility, agility, what brings, and that is what made me to come here.
Yeah, I know you as a person who has been, like I said, I think your story is very inspirational, right? Having said that, I also know that you are, just before this, we were just talking about, going by the book. And you have been that person, right? I know you, that you've always been curious to kind of go deeper into the subject, kind of understand, read a lot more. And that sort of fascinated to many, right? And I think a lot of your success also has been based on that, in terms of going deeper into the subject. Both, if you look at Cisco, where you spent a lot of time, it was a product company, right? And when you shifted into your entrepreneurial journey, was that also a product company, or was it more driven into services?
We initially, the thought process was, we build a services organization, and gradually we moved towards product. So that is where our interest was, because we are coming from that environment, data center environment. We want to build a product which fits into the data center. That is what the thought process. We started with services organization. If you look at that time, people in India used to think that services will be bundled as part of the product itself. Mm-hmm. Services was never thought of, right? I had to pay for the services. So that is what the challenge for us. But since we have built partnership with Dell, EMC, they were the first people to give us a business. Yeah. We have grown there, and first year itself, we got a rookie award from EMC. Mm-hmm. That was a major achievement for us. Yeah. Then that has given a lot of boost, right, or shots in our hand, stating that, okay, now you have already got a rookie award, how do you get to the next level, next level, next level? We employed approximately like 25 people. We did good amount of projects, large projects with Times of India, Headstrong. We did good amount of project with YTL Malaysia as well. We did good amount of large projects, I can say.
And those projects were, end-to-end service providing end-to-end services, or was it also involving products?
It is predominantly end-to-end services, and the product used to come from Dell, HP, EMC, like that. We used to integrate all of them, and we used to build the solution around that. That was predominantly what we used to do.
Okay. So an interesting thing is, you said that you had put all your stuff at stake, right? I think you had put all the money that you had earned over several years of hard work, and especially coming from a journey of yours where you actually started off as an apprentice, and then you jumped into IT, and then you kind of grew up there. And from moving into working in a large company like Cisco, where you kind of got a whole lot of exposure out there, right? And then switching into your entrepreneurial journey where you did services oriented stuff. So these are all different things, right? And you also mentioned that you thought that Cisco is going to kind of give you business, which did not happen, right? And with everything on stake, plans not going as you thought about, with Cisco not really giving you the business, what was your mindset? Can you just talk a little bit in terms of what was your mindset at that point in time? What was running in your mind? And how did you go about really pursuing and hitting that, 1 million, 1.5 million that you had just mentioned about?
Anyhow, so quitting Cisco and starting HSV was the risk we already taken. We wanted to get onto entrepreneur journey. We already taken that risk, thinking that Cisco business will come. People whom we trusted, they didn't work. Mm-hmm. Then other people whom we didn't know that the help will come from there, it started coming. That is what we always trust in God. So something will happen, something happens for good. So that is what I always believe in. And that's what happened to me, predominantly. And Dell and EMC they really helped us to get onto the different level. That is when things falling in place. That is when we started hiring more people, getting onto the new projects. All those things started. Some new solutions we have built, new integrations we have done of a large, like as I said earlier, we have done good amount of project. Right? That was rolling our ball, and it gave us the revenue aspects also, right? Looking at like coming from technology, learning into a business, and looking at the P&L was most important for us. None of us were looking at the P&L. We didn't know what is P&L means. From when we started HSV, we came to know what is P&L, what is taxation, how you need to run the organization, how do you employ people. Retaining employees also is most important that time. So hiring is difficult for a startup that time. Retaining them, paying them salary month on month when you're in difficult times. So we came across all those things. We made a good amount of profit there. And my thought process was, since we said that in the beginning, we start from services, then move on to the product didn't kick off. That is when I quit the organization and moved on to, again, corporate world.
So that is also an interesting transition, right? Because you moved from corporate to, entrepreneurial journey, and then again from entrepreneurial to corporate world. So I'm sure your experience out there was pretty enriching in terms of what you learned, like you said, in terms of P&L, in terms of financials, in terms of how to run the business, a whole array of things that you learned as part of that. How did that help you in getting back into corporate? Because you were disconnected from the corporate for 3+ years, and then really getting back. Did your entrepreneurial journey actually help you, or you had to relearn completely and get into the corporate world?
No, it was not a relearning at all. We were from corporate world, from employment, we have become entrepreneurs, and we still used to work with corporates. We used to build solutions for them. We used to do a lot of things, projects, everything. The journey in technology continued for us. The new learnings, what we had is on the business side, on the commercial angle. How do you run the business? How do you ensure you do a good people management? All those things, new input which has come to us, that has really helped us to get back into the corporate. Switching from entrepreneurship to corporate world was not difficult at all. So all these things, whatever we have learned here, it was just an apply there. And that has fetched me a job at HCL.
Okay, so that was one of the reasons you actually got a job.
Yes, that was a big, since I was an entrepreneur, it has become easy for me, to be frank, getting into corporate world. And when I got interviewed by some people within HCL, they said that we are hiring you because you're an entrepreneur, to be frank.
Nice.
And we want to bring in all this expertise, whatever you had as an entrepreneur, starting from business to commercial to technology. We are looking at one structure who can go and talk to customer, because HCL used to bid for large opportunities, like 200 million, 300 million opportunities they used to bid. And that is when they wanted someone like an enterprise architect who can come and stitch together, starting from business to commercial to technology. That is the end-to-end stitching normally we see within the large opportunities, because we call it as an ITO deal, total IT outsourcing deal, we call it as. So they wanted someone like the entrepreneur with this knowledge, come and build for them. That is
So
when
you
they hired.
started off with, at Cisco, more product. Then you started entrepreneurship into services with the roadmap of getting into product. And then you shifted back into corporate, where you started really looking at solutioning and pre-sales sort of roles. How did that transition happen? Was it a thought over choice, or was it something that just happened?
It was 100% thought over choice. Since this is, the thought process didn't work, I wanted, because within the
You mean thought process did not work in the
partners,
within the entrepreneurship
within the
journey?
entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I was more interested in developing a product, but since right, services we used to do good amount of business, but still there was the hindrance from the organization, different organization within India. Services comes as a product line. We want to move into a product where there was a money. It didn't work out. Then I said that I'll switch over to
So
corporate world.
would it be right in saying it was not so much on the dollars that you were earning, it was more related to the technology that you wanted to work and the product that you wanted to get associated with? That's what the trigger was.
That made me switch over.
Okay. Is that because you're passionate about technology, or?
Passionate, of course. So I worked with technology for a long time, passionate about technology, and also I'm passionate about technology. But the technology has changed. Technology changes every day. And unless you keep up yourself with the technology, it is hard to go and talk to customer, convince them on the solution, whatever you built. So if you ask me today, yes, of course, I'm a technology guy. And also I'm a business guy. I do sales, pre-sales, as well as technology talks to my customers.
Yeah, and that's also an interesting journey that you had, right? Because I know that you were kind of in one location, operating mostly in one location, trying multiple things, and then suddenly the floodgates opened up as you get back into the corporate world, where you started traveling crazy, right? You kind of manage global cloud solutions all these years. So your travel is really crazy, right? So how do you manage time? I know that your kids were just growing up and stuff like that. So how do you really manage your time with all of these things?
That's a good question again. So if you look at my HCL journey, that has given the international exposure to me. I used to handle Australia as a region, as well as US as a region, along with one more my colleague who used to handle Europe as a region. Three of us, right, we used to combine and work. The expectation from different regions are different. The customers are different, the solutions are different, the industry spectrum is different, geographies are different. So you have different challenges working in different areas and different customers. And for me, that was the first exposure on an international domain. If you look at that, HCL gave me that platform to get onto that particular platform. From there, when I moved into Cognizant, 60% of my time used to go on traveling. Yeah. And I really appreciate my wife, right, who has taken care of back in home. I should really appreciate her, because she has taken care of home. Whenever I used to travel long distance, I never used to be at home like 20 days, 25 days. Most of the time I used to be on flight, right? And she has taken care, she has managed, she has grown the kids. Now they are grown big enough to take care of themselves, right? That is where it is. When I started this international exposure, when it came to me, I started, I've seen 30 odd countries across the globe, different region, different people, different expectations. And as an enterprise architect, you're supposed to manage them. That was a challenge for me. Yeah. And overcome that with Cognizant, again, 7.5 years with Cognizant. That has told me a lot, to be frank. Yeah. And it has given a lot of international exposures. When you work with international people, it is totally a different ball game than you work back in India.
True. So, since you're managing a global expectation, customers are globally being present, You operate predominantly from India. From a technology trend standpoint, and especially in the cloud space that you are in, what do you see are the trends that are currently there, or what are the challenges that are there at this point in time in this cloud space?
I will not just talk about cloud. So cloud is one of the aspects because cloud is a fabric. It's a platform. You can stitch the way you want cloud. Most important thing is how do you get your business application onto cloud? How do your data onto cloud? How do you build analytics on cloud? So that is more important. That is the challenge today customer has got. Most of the customer, when you are looking at industry vertical specific, whether it's a BFS or healthcare industry, till today, there are a lot of challenges with respect to security of data, security of application, security of the infrastructure, what it goes on the cloud. Anyhow, that is getting overcome predominantly with the hyperscaler being there. So the challenge is getting ridden. Most of the clouds, they are building industry-specific cloud. Those challenges are getting eliminated. Having said that, still data is a data. As a guardian of the data or the owner of the data, it makes you as a service provider for us, whether it's a Cognizant or HCL or wherever we worked, it is important for us to guard the data. That is important because most of the threat happens there on the application. So it's still a domain which, classic example, if you take a BFS segment, their core application still remains on-prem. And most of the peripheral application goes on the cloud. And that is what the journey is already there. If you go to retail, most of the systems or your workloads or whatever we call it as, right? That's already on cloud. A lot of manufacturing industry, everything is on cloud. Especially only when it comes to banking, insurance segment, or healthcare, where the PII, we call it as personal identification information, which is most critical because there is a GDPR regulation which comes into play, then you have to safeguard your data, big time. So, and again, in India also, they have brought in GDPR bill recently in the parliament. That should actually stitch a holistic story towards data security as well as application security as an infrastructure security. That's what I can.
So given that you're managing this global portfolio in terms of technology, in terms of people, what is that, 2-3 things that you look in people when you're hiring for your team, right? Be it in the technology space that you're in, or in general, what are the things that you kind of look out from a people?
We look 3 things. One is attitude towards learning, attitudes towards people, what kind of team play he can make. Most important, these are the 3 things what we look at. Technology can be learned by anyone. It is not a hard shell. You can crack it and you can make people to learn the technology. But attitude to learn that is most important. Eagerness to learn is most important. As long as the person who is ready to learn, hardworking, he's got a perseverance to do something, we can make him suitable. When you look at the leadership is a different domain altogether. A manager cannot be a leader. Leader is different. Initially, what used to happen like 20 years back, sitting in a room shouting at someone, he is a leader. Now it is not. Inclusiveness is the leadership. You have to talk to everyone, understand what they are doing. You can make your own decisions, but inclusiveness brings you the leadership quality. That is most important.
So, pivoting from, the workspace to your aspirational thing or passionate stuff that you are into, how did, the mountaineering thing start off? I think there was a trigger point with so much happening in your life, right? With the challenges, the changes that came in, and with the travel that was happening, there's a lot happening, right? And you do not have time just to manage day in, day out of this, and then you now have a passion towards mountaineering, right? So how did that mountaineering thing happen?
In fact, not only mountaineering, I built 3 passions predominantly.
Okay.
So one is the super bike, what I said earlier. The second thing is mountaineer. I do wildlife photography as well.
Oh, awesome.
That's what I do for off the period. I talk about mountaineering, why it paid me off. And also the photography, what I'm talking about. Biking, I do seldom. I have a bike, but I do seldom because of time, as you said. Mountaineering has become a big passion for me. I already completed Mount Kailash. I have completed my Everest base camp. I completed my Annapurna circuit. Last December, I did my Kilimanjaro. One thing I have learned with mountaineering is altitude teaches you attitude. Okay, when you go up in the ladder, you still be grounded. That is what teaches me every time. How you behave with your people, how you behave with your team, how do you make they part of your team, inclusiveness, as I said, right? That is what taught me. When you go to mountain, the external factors, the risk, very high. Example, when you go to Kilimanjaro, the external factors are very high. At that altitude, which is around 6,000 feet, it's totally different environment altogether. You get like mountain sickness, whatever it is, right? So you can hit anything. Yeah. Getting onto there, building your endurance, right? Like as I said, right? So one, you have to hard work there.
Yeah.
You have to be passionate in doing what you want. You have to be more agile, more flexible, because you don't get proper food. Yeah. You have to get adjusted to that food, whatever they give. It is not that you get a 5-star domain there.
Yeah.
So you have to live on, sleep on the tent, whatever is there. That brings you more flexibility towards your journey as like corporate world.
Yep. Yeah.
That is what is more.
So I kind of agree. I mean, Kilimanjaro is one place where we've also seen that, especially if you're a vegetarian, it's all the more challenging.
It's more challenging.
But having said that, I think there are high risks, right? And you don't know when you're going to hit what you're going to hit. Right, and it humbles you quite a bit.
I still remember, right, I was reading some articles. When you look at like Mount Everest, recently two incidents happened. 2019, I believe, so I'm not sure. There was an avalanche breakdown.
Yeah.
Top. People on the base camp, there was like 100 feet ice on them.
Yep.
And most of them, like 70 people, they vanished.
Yeah, I know about that because, I was just fortunate because just before that avalanche, a week before is what I finished my base camp and came in. So it's like touch wood for me. It's like I just escaped that. So it is definitely.
Yeah, your external factors are very high. So temperature varies every minute, every second. Altitude is second thing, right? And you don't know what external factor will come and hit you, right?
Sure.
Mountaineering is one. That is what most important. When you go up in the ladder, be grounded. Yeah. Wherever you go.
So that would be a key message?
That is a key message.
To all the leaders?
Yeah. One is inclusiveness.
Yeah.
Second thing is be grounded wherever you go. That's the second message. So be hardworking.
With all of these things happening, what is the vision? What is the vision that you have for yourself? What is that, or a goal that you have? You've kind of achieved quite a bit in terms of your journey itself, right? There's a wide spectrum of learnings that you've had. You also are into, you're kind of balancing it out for pursuing your passion in the non-corporate world as well, and you're also pursuing your technology passion as such. So I think it sums up well in terms of a holistic lifestyle that you've got, right? And you also certainly are a yoga enthusiast, right? And you do a whole lot of stuff. So with all this happening, how do you see Srinidhi from 5, 6, 10 years from now?
If you look at like that, again, passion is my technology. Technology is my passion. I want to pursue that passion. Again, as I said, I wanted to build a product which still is in my mind, and I'm going to pursue that. Whether it is after 3 years or 4 years, whatever it is. That is my second goal. The next immediate goal for me is to get onto Mount Everest. So that is where I'm working on today. And two things can happen when I get onto Mount Everest. Either you can create a history or you will be history.
Yeah.
Only two things can happen with Mount Everest. And that is what I'm planning. I'm planning to get onto Mount Everest by 2024 April. That is an immediate passion for me. Once I get there, I'll see, right, if God's grace, everything goes fine, I'll get onto the product.
I'm sure you're going to create history and not become a history, right? in the mountains. I think that is something, amazing. And I would certainly like to talk to you once you're done with your Everest, summiting the peak. we will certainly call you back to share your experience. That's an interesting space. Thank you so much for your time here. Right, we have one section where we kind of look at taking questions from the previous leader. Right,
Okay.
so we have a previous leader giving us a question that we sort of ask you. And so you do get an opportunity to ask the next leader, right? So you can also post your question to the next leader. So we'll kind of go through that. So let me ask you this question as to what I actually received from the previous leader. So this comes out as a leader, do you believe and agree on inclusive growth, right? Like you and your team. I have generally seen, this is the previous leader, he has generally seen and felt in corporates that individual growth is more focused than the holistic growth, right, of the team. And I think you kind of answered this,
Yeah.
which is on the inclusive side. So
Yes.
I'll let you go ahead and answer.
Yeah, so as I said, right, 20 years back, a person, the leader, sitting in a room and shouting at everyone, okay, you are the leader. So it is not today. So everyone's voice is heard. Probably the decision can be made from whoever it is, but everyone's voice has to be heard. And inclusiveness, as I said earlier, inclusiveness should be part of the overall journey of your team. If you're not including anyone, taking his inputs into the account, the success rate or success criteria will come down.
So is it just about hearing everyone's input and just making a decision, or is it, there could be multiple inputs that comes your way, right? As a leader, you might be receiving, and there could be conflicting data points or requests that could be coming in, or viewpoints that would be coming in. So how do you handle that? I mean, because you are also an inclusive leader. So I just want to pivot a little bit into this part of saying, hey, how do you handle this conflicting viewpoints that come from your team, right? One might like to do something else, have a certain opinion, and one might not have the opinion, right? Or a different opinion. And you are probably aligned to one of the opinions. So how do you handle this situation?
Yeah, that's again a good question. When you look at every talent, there is something for you to learn. Even including my daughter, I have a lot of things to learn from her. Her passion towards like whatever she is doing, there's a dedication towards what she's doing, a lot of things for me to learn. Similarly, when you corporate world, there's a lot of things every talent has got. You need to get best out of each and every talent. That is, as a leader, that is your responsibility. And you lead from the front. You hear them, you understand what they're trying to say, and try to see what best can be taken from each and every individual and make it as consolidated entity and take a decision on that. That is what.
So you just make a decision, or you also go back and circle back with those
Of course.
whose viewpoint are not, kind of considered but not kind of incorporated?
Yeah, so you have to give a reason why you're not considering predominantly, right? You have to tell them. If you're taken like out of, probably if you have a team size of 20 people, and if you're taken like 20 points or 40 points may come out of the meeting, you see which point is very, very relevant to your business or the practice or whatever you're running. Whatever relevant, definitely you have to take that. And what is not relevant, probably you can discard and tell them this is how the reason you discarded the reason. There could be, it is not that all the 40 points are relevant to you. Yeah. Some points may be already incorporated, right? And some points may be very good point. Just now I was talking to one of the person outside. There are a lot of things which I learned from them. And I take that as a feedback to me, as an input to me. When I go to my customer, definitely I'm going to talk, right? Some interesting points, right? Similarly, every talent has got their own say. Every talent has got their own points to make. You have to consolidate them. And you can make your own judgmental or whatever it is, right? Idea out of that. A lot of things, right, which we get from individual talents, you can build your own product with that, I'm telling you. Right, so from technology perspective, a lot of input comes from. There could be commercial input comes, there could be technology output comes, it could be business input comes. Especially the new grads who are coming out, MBA grads, they have very good thought process. Because they are from IMB or whatever it is, right? So they have good thought process. They come with some very good knowledge. So you can pick their brain.
So it's also important. What you're saying is, the communication is important, right? Communication in terms of, hey, you're hearing everyone. Communication in terms of closing the loop, of saying, I heard you, but this is the reason why it does not fit into this equation. And also that gives you an opportunity as a leader to educate individuals, and kind of nurture them to kind of get into a lot more mature state.
Absolutely.
Right? All right. Cool.
So that's important.
Thank you so much. So I think one of like I said, I think we have this section where we take the questions from the current, like you, as a leader, to the next leader who comes as a guest into our show. So do you want to kind of go through and write what you think you want to ask?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you very much, Srinidhi. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot.
All right.